Hello, this is the SOFTRAX audio blog for the week of October 8th, 2018. My name's Hulme, and I'm the Vice President of Product Management here at SOFTRAX. This week's blog will focus on a real-world scenario where a company needed to restate its revenues due to material weaknesses in its financial reporting and controls. The example is a company named WageWorks, which is publicly traded on the New York Stock Exchange, and it's a company that makes software to help other companies administer their benefits programs. In March 2018, WageWorks disclosed that it had, quote, a material weakness in its internal control over financial reporting that was related to managing change and assessing risk in the areas of non-routine and complex transactions, end quote. Additional information provided through April 2018 by the company identified that its internal review pointed out, quote, certain issues, including revenue recognition related to the accounting for a government contract during fiscal 2016, and whether there was an open flow of information and an appropriate tone at the top for an effective control environment, end quote. The offshoot of all this is that WageWorks' audit committee estimated that the company overstated revenue and net income in 2016 and 2017, and it would have to, obviously assess how 2018 would be impacted. So when you pivot to today, the company recently released an 8K filing back in September, and it discusses the status of its remediation activities for these issues in the second paragraph of Exhibit 99.1. And this paragraph really encapsulates, where the company currently stands to try and effectively clean up and resolve the issues that they pointed out earlier in the year. And so I quote, WageWorks has not yet completed its final determination and review of its financial statements and internal controls over financial reporting for the fiscal year ended December 31st, 2017. As previously announced, the company's board concluded certain financial statements for periods in 2016 and 2017 should be restated and should no longer be relied upon. Therefore, the amounts described above and the periods to which they relate are preliminary, unaudited estimates subject to change. There can be no assurance that the final amounts and adjustments will not differ materially from the estimated amounts described above, or that additional amounts will not be identified, the impact of which may be material, end quote. So really, when you look at that, what are the takeaways? So the first one is the company obviously clearly states that it had weaknesses in its controls that likely led to its issues. I mean, it's a key point, but it's not the primary point or the primary takeaway in my mind. The primary point is that even after making public statements about a need to restate its financials, the company is still hampered in their ability to commit to restated results, and this is per its 8K, because it's still providing estimates for 2016 and 17. So really right now they're still estimating what the impact is, or will be rather, from the issues they identified in terms of material weaknesses in its controls and financial reporting from 6 months ago. So, an extension of that is that when situations like this come up, for companies, it's not a point in time identification and fix, situation. It's an overtime issue that needs consistent, controlled attention to remediate. And, per this example, WageWorks put forward their issue 6 months ago. Now, 6 months later, they're still working to provide clean financials for 2016 and 17. They'll need another 3 to 6 months to do that. And then after that, they'll have to address 2018's numbers. And so you can see as you start to add these chunks of time up, and you're talking, 12 to 18 months at a minimum from the point in time the issue was identified to when they'll be able to remediate it and provide accurate current financials. And so it's an overtime impact. And so without proper controls and automation, companies are exposed to these risks. And it can lead to financial restatements, among other things. And so, SOFTRAX offers a product named Revenue Manager, which offers an easy and non-disruptive means of reducing and mitigating these types of risks. The other piece that's key is that Revenue Manager has been used by many companies to adopt ASC 606 on a full retrospective basis. And the tasks to use the product in that way for full retrospective adoptions really parallels in many ways the tasks that companies that find themselves in restatement situations would have to execute to remediate and restate. And so there's a proven track record and solution that we offer to address these types of situations, such as the one WageWorks is in. And so the solution can help address risk up front, but then if a company finds itself in a quandary at some point, the solution can be brought in to get out of it. And it can reduce the remediation time frame from months to weeks. That's it for this week's blog. We appreciate you taking the time to listen. I'd encourage you to go to SOFTRAX.com or RevenueRecognition.com, to find past and upcoming blogs. And then also you can register for this month's webinar, which is scheduled for October 23rd at 1 p.m. We'd really appreciate your attendance at that webinar. Thanks again. Have a great week.